Run it up, then run it back. Run it up, then run it back. Run it up, run it back. Run it up, then run it back. Yeah.
Good day. What's going on? What do we just start
this
with?
Guy, man,
Chandler.
He just
I like
said,
the intro.
He said, I like the new intro.
What are you, the cops this morning?
What new intro?
Rats. You the cops. Anyways, this is Run It Back. It's Wednesday. Is everyone feeling good? I'm feeling good. I feel like we're feeling great. It's been a really weird week that feels like it's been 3 weeks. Does everyone
How
good?
you doing down there, Beadle? Anything you want to tell us?
I'm good. No, I did go to a dinner last night. You guys would be proud of me, but it's like a 5:30 start.
You did not leave the
that's
hotel.
Yeah, I did, but it was early, and so I'm back by 8:30. I mean, that's. Okay, you know what?
It's good to know that you go out
Luka's
to dinner.
press
It's with
conference.
everyone else besides us.
Yeah, it's cool.
That's because you
That's fine.
start at 10. After this show yesterday, Luka Doncic did his first press conference with the Lakers, sitting next to Rob Pelinka. He had a lovely sweater on, and I want to get your reactions to some of the things he said. So we're going to start with the post-trade leaks about his conditioning and sort of the negative narratives around that. Here he is.
I'm just excited, to be here to start this new journey, and obviously at some point I knew this was going to happen, but I would say I always take the high road. I had my amazing moments in Dallas with all my teammates, coaches, and the most importantly, the fans, they always supported me.
Hold up. What does that mean, Lou? At some point, I always knew this would happen. What?
Yeah, I don't think he means in short term, right? Like he knew this was going to happen this week. All players get traded. All players get moved at some point in their careers. How the climate of the NBA is these days, and when you look around the league, besides LeBron James and Stephen Curry, those are probably the only two superstars that haven't switched teams via trade. LeBron James always leaves in free agency. Steph Curry obviously has been a Golden State Warrior his entire career, but everybody else you can kind of see it moving pieces, especially when you get to the end of your career. That's when you kind of start moving around. So I took that as him saying, I knew at some point this was going to happen in my career, not necessarily this week. That was my take on what he was trying to say.
Okay.
Yeah, I agree. He made it clear that he had no idea this was going to happen now, and you never know if it's going to happen later either. But I think just the part of the business, everyone always says the nature of the business. It's kind of like the go-to saying when something bad happens or something crazy happens. That's what you just say. Oh, it's part of the business. It's part of the cold business of the NBA. But yeah, he had no idea this was coming. You could tell. Even just, I'm sure he's still somewhat in shock. I'm sure it's all just surreal. Him sitting there at the press conference, kind of taking it all in. And there was even reports saying that he obviously was tore up about it before, but once he got on that plane, once he landed in LA,
reality sets in.
Yeah, he's like, okay, this is kind of dope. So I'm sure there's been some up and downs. It's been a roller coaster, but by no means did he knew this was going to happen.
You have to show face as well. Like, you don't want to go to your new fan base pouting and worrying about what could have been. Like, at some point, you got to face reality and you got to continue to move forward. So I was excited to see him get off the plane, do the LA thing, and embrace the culture and say that he was excited to be there. I was excited to see that for him.
Maybe I'm just cynical. I almost feel like maybe he and Nico Harrison had a thing, or there was the beginning of a thing, or maybe there was some sort of seedlings of issues between the two personality conflict. I don't know. I read that differently.
It was some body language there when Nico's name came up. There was some body language. There was kind of a straight face that I noticed that you can kind of read between the lines to see that everything wasn't all good with those two.
Yeah, no one knows for sure, right? But I would imagine they didn't have the best relationship, obviously, just with everything that just transpired. Like, that doesn't just happen. We've never seen this happen before, and I think, again, that's what the shock and the surprise comes from, is the whole secrecy thing. And part of the business as a player is to be on time, to be professional, but isn't the part of the business of being a GM having respect and a dialogue with your franchise player to at least not keep him in the dark and make him go through like this and be embarrassed and feel stupid and just kind of be caught off guard like Nico Harrison did to Luka? So the business works both ways to me, and I think that's why you see Kevin Durant, that's why you see these ex-players kind of up in arms about it, because it's not just a one-way street. It's not just the standards that the players get when we get dragged through the mud, when we want traded, or we want max money, or we want something that benefits us. The team's got to have the same sort of standards when they do something like this, because this hasn't happened. And I understand what they're saying. Him and Rob saying, well, you had to keep it in the dark. You had to, you know, with all the leaks and stuff, this would never happen. But that's also part of the business. Hearing your name in trade rumors and then not getting traded and going back to the team, that's part of the business as well. So you can't just make up when you want to use that term.
Agreed.
I do, yeah. There's a sense of professionalism and respect from one adult to another that you expect, but is not always there. He did open up, though, about the whole idea of a fresh start in LA. Here he is.
Yeah, I would say, like you said, I thought I was going to spend my whole career there because I think loyalty is a big word for me, and I was trying to stay by that. But this for me is a fresh start. I get to play in LA. The fans are amazing, and I got the ocean here, so it's a really big thing for me. But really, I'm really excited to be here. I getting to play for the Lakers.
He's probably here today
good.
being like, man, I got catfished on this LA weather because it's
Oh, is it bad?
Better days to come. It's gloomy.
It's raining cats and dogs. It's gloomy.
Really?
It's foggy. The weather
Texas.
sucks right now. He's probably like, man, this isn't it.
He's just pouting. But you know what? You do have the ocean. It gives you a new sense of life. Here's my thing, guys, and I'm wondering if you feel the same way. Because obviously loyalty, I think it's a big deal to most of us, right? We kind of want to feel a little bit safe. But we've also seen Luka on the court, and he likes to just take revenge on people. I'm not saying he's vindictive, but maybe if he is, it's in a good way. Are the Lakers going to get the very best, awesome version of Luka, Lou?
Absolutely. Anytime that you go through a bad breakup, you want to show and prove to that person that left you that they were better off staying with you, especially in the manner that this trade was done, right? Like, by all accounts, he was blindsided. He didn't see this coming. So now he wants to go back. He wants to show and prove what they're going to be missing. And also, like he just said, he's excited to be a Los Angeles Laker. Now you have a new fan base to show them, hey, this is the guy that you're getting. Even though everybody in the world have always been Luka Doncic fans, it's a completely different thing when he's playing for your team. So that's a new fan base. That's a new city, a new organization that you want to show them, hey, I'm everything that you guys thought I was. I'm the reason that you came out here and got me. Now I have a lot to prove. And on the flip side of that, I have a chip on my shoulder dealing with the organization that decided they wanted to get rid of me and move in a different direction. So once Luka's back on that floor from that calf injury, I see him playing at a clip that we've never seen before. He's going to be motivated. He's going to be amped up, and he got a lot to show and prove in such a young career that he's accomplished so many different things already.
Yeah, it's crazy with just someone with the resume that he has and all the accolades that he, you know, 5-time All-Star, 5-time first-team All-NBA in 6 seasons. And now this is just more motivation where I still have something to prove. My character and my work ethic is being questioned. Watch those highlights again right there. If that's out of shape, God knows what he's going to look like when he's in shape. Luka Doncic belongs in LA. He belongs in the Lakers on the biggest stage on that arena with all these other legends that have come through. So on the flip side, I'm stoked that he's here because I want to see Luka Magic as a Laker. And I think on the biggest stage, like I said, playing with LeBron James, who's going to kind of turn into this mentor role. And by the way, get on whatever LeBron's on. Like, do exactly what he does. You want to play forever. You want to play till you're that and have that kind of longevity of a career. Who better than to pair up with LeBron James right next to you? So the revenge tour starts, I think, Saturday. He's saying, and looking ahead, like MVP next year. Sign me up for Luka because he is going to be on an absolute tear.
Yeah, it's like being a rookie again, right? Like you're charged up, you're ready to go again. You're ready to show what everybody's been waiting for.
Pissed at all the other teams that didn't draft you.
All of that, all of those emotions, all of those feelings are coming back to you that you begin with when you were one of the young guys in the league. Like we just mentioned, as many things that he's accomplished in his career, we're going to see the best version of Luka Doncic when he puts on that purple and gold.
That's a little terrifying for most people. Let me ask you, Chandler, we always like to do this. Over under 1.5 rings for Luka as a Laker.
It's so impossible. It's a fun little game we play. I'll take over just because I think the Lakers aren't done. I think the Lakers have so much to prove now with winning this trade, putting yourself in position to have this franchise piece. That's 25 years old for the next 10 years. They're going to go out and they're going to get a center, I think as early as tomorrow, to where they have now a full package. Watched them play last night, too. They have capable defenders. They have guys like Jared Vanderbilt. They have guys like Rui that are now going to get more. Look at that. He's so out of shape. It's crazy. Guys like Rui, who now are going to kind of be thrown into that role, where they're going to be the primary defender on the other team's best on the other, the best other player. So they have scoring, they have playmakers with Austin Reeves, LeBron, Luka. That's not the problem. Can they add a big, and can they add more depth? Guys like Dorian Finney-Smith, it's a great start. Guys that can defend 3-and-D guys to surround all these playmakers. I'll take the over. He's 25 years old.
I know. I feel like we took the over when he was a Maverick, so you would think theoretically you'd still take the over, right, Lou?
The Thunder aren't going anywhere. There's other teams. But he's got.
Who else is coming?
He's got a long runway. The Spurs
are there other teams in the West are coming? Oh, I love getting that in at least once. Okay. Rob Pelinka talked about. By the way, we talked about his jacket, but he also mentioned that Luka's sports performance team is now very much a part of the Lakers family, and they've already started working with Lakers medical staff. So basically, it gave Luka a little bit of a chance to smirk there. But we know the Mavs had issues with this. Chandler, smart move to go ahead and bring in his whole team.
Yeah, I think you have to, right? When it's a player of his stature, you have to. I've seen this when I was in Houston with James Harden. He had his own guys. You have your own workout guys. You have your own trainers. When you get hurt, you get a second and third opinion. So this is pretty standard for, big-time players like that. Like Dwight Howard had his own security guard separate from security from the team when I was with him in Houston. So it's interesting because the narrative now and the stories of him not being in shape, and now the Lakers are going to hire his people that apparently don't have him in shape. It's interesting, but you can't make a big move like this, trade for a guy like this, and then do something to piss him off early. You have to make him comfortable. He's making the big leap to LA. He's your franchise piece this year. He's your franchise piece for the next 5 to 10 years. You have to kind of accommodate him in a situation like this. So I like it. I think their hand is kind of forced to do it. I think they're obviously going to intertwine him with their medical staff, with their strength coach. They're going to have a lot of hands, a lot of eyes on him throughout this process. But a player like Luka, you have to give him this.
Yeah, that's the norm. Any superstar, all-star level guy that you see, they're going to have their own crew. They're going to have their own staff of guys, whether it's going to be a security guy or a trainer, anything of that nature. Kawhi Leonard has guys that were in-house when I was a Clipper. Paul George had guys that were in-house when I was a Clipper. Like, this is the norm for guys of this caliber. The only interesting part is, aren't these guys kind of responsible for the narrative that's going around that he's not in shape or he's not keeping himself in shape, this and that? Those guys should share the responsibility of that narrative. So with that being said, with that being plastered over every media publication that you can think of, that he's out of shape, he doesn't take his shape serious, for these guys to be a part of him moving forward is kind of calling BS on that narrative. So I'm excited for them to get to work. Like, everybody has something to prove now, even these guys behind the scenes.
But also these guys have they've been with them for the 5 All-Stars as well, for the 5 first. So it's like, when it's bad, they're maybe, if Luka gets hurt or he doesn't look like he's in great shape, these guys are going to probably get the shit. You know what I mean? Like,
we got to see them.
Yeah,
we got to see their faces.
This goes back ages. Like, there was a gentleman that was suing the Clippers about some things that was going in-house. He was also a part of an individual player staff coming in. He wasn't loyal to that franchise. So this is a normal thing that happens in the NBA when you're a superstar caliber guy. But listen, at the end of the day, Luka smiled about it because, again, how does this work when you're saying that this guy wasn't in a particular in any type of shape, but you're going to bring the guys along with him for that? So I thought that was interesting.
Yeah, and from a team aspect, you plan on paying this guy a lot of money. You're going to want your guys that you're paying a lot of money, his hands on him, his eyes on him, working with him every day. So there is kind of this friction between the two. And let's face it, if I have my own trainer, I'm going to keep things kind of discreet from the team. If I'm not feeling as great, if I'm not 100%, the team might not know that if I'm not working with their guys and there's not an honest dialogue between the two. So there's pros and cons, but a player like Luka, you got to give it to him.
And also, it's a 24-hour job. It's a 24-hour job when you're a Luka Doncic or any of these other guys. When you're the regular training staff, you got another 12 to 13 guys that you have to tend to, have to make sure that their bodies are right to play the game. So a lot of these guys have to bring in their own crews because they're working on different hours than everybody else.
Dude, this is so, just hire everyone that LeBron has ever hired to do anything. Like, this seems very easy to me. I look around the league. Who's doing it the best? LeBron? Cool. I want everybody he's worked with.
Boom,
it's a
24-hour job for LeBron.
Fine.
They can't hire
Well, then
guys.
delegate it. Like, figure it out. All right, we're going to take a quick break. He is back. Good Lord. We would not have known we'd be talking about all this when we talked to Sam Amick last week, but he'll be back on the other side so we can break it down some more and run it back.
Run it up, run it back. the running back.
Well, there it is, our buddy old pal, Shams Charania, Milwaukee Bucks sending Khris Middleton, A.J. Johnson, a pick swap to the Wizards for KUZMA, Patrick Baldwin Jr., and second-round draft compensation. So here we go. We're about 29 hours away from the trade deadline. Things might start picking up here, guys. Immediate reaction. Lou, what's that? Hold on. Oh, here he is. Sam Amick joins us, senior NBA writer for The Athletic. I was like, I thought you were coming on. Okay, so here we go. We'll get to Luka in a second, but let's just do our quick reactions other than our thoughts and prayers to Khris Middleton. But what do you think, Sam? Do you like this?
Yeah, I mean, it's funny. We joke, Khris, man, all that history he's got in Milwaukee. Oh. This is a tough day for him. The reliability, you talk about Luka, we'll get into it physically and all the questions about durability. Khris had a lot of issues with that. I don't know. We'll see if this pans out for the Bucks. You look at Kyle this year in Washington, and he just, his numbers fell off a cliff. Now, I know they were, worst team in the league and they're rebuilding and a lot of dynamics that came into play there. But this is something that they talked about for the last couple of days. It was pretty clear yesterday that it was going to get over the finish line. AJ was kind of the thing that they were going back and forth about. But we'll see. Milwaukee obviously feels like they need to inject some new life into that core.
Hey, Sam, let me ask you this real quick. Just the word loyalty has been thrown around.
What is it?
Sure.
How loyal are the Milwaukee Bucks and that franchise to now ship Khris Middleton, who's given everything to this organization, everything to this franchise, and you just ship him off to the Washington Wizards? How loyal is that?
Yeah, no, it's fair, Chandler. I mean, it is. You saw in the wake of the Luka situation, this absolute, swell of support from stars around the league. And it is fair. I loved what Giannis had to say. Steph talked about it, that the loyalty is not a two-way street. If you sat here and had a pie graph of how many players at least try to be loyal, along the way, I think that far exceeds the number of teams that lose sleep at night thinking about being loyal to their guys. And I don't know if we're going to even talk Warriors today, but for me, that they come to mind too, right? Because they're in the middle of this desperate time where they're trying to get another star. And as of yesterday, we're looking at it going, oh boy, they might actually get off Draymond or do something like that. Ooh. Where the loyalty questions come into play with a situation like that too. I don't think that's going to happen, but it's 100% been discussed internally, and that speaks to what you're talking about.
And that's also, I think, it's to where you get traded to. If you're going to get off Draymond, at least send him, have the decency to send him to a contender to something like that. Right. Khris Middleton, sending him to Washington. I can't. I'm picturing a buyout, right? Is that an option? There's no way he stays there.
I'd have to imagine. Yeah. I mean, Washington's not trying to get prime Khris Middleton, giving him 22 a night. I don't think that's what they want right now. So I could see that being in the card.
It's crazy. That being said, I do love the trade for Milwaukee. I really do.
Oh, yeah,
so let me ask you guys a question really quick as far as Milwaukee is concerned. Because a couple of weeks ago, Kyle Kuzma's name came up, and we said if he gets traded to a team, does that make them a contender? Now that the trade is done and he's going to the Milwaukee Bucks, does that make the Milwaukee Bucks better?
It makes him better. I don't know if it makes him a contender. I don't know if it puts him in the category with the Cavs, with the Bucks, with the Knicks, or with the Celtics, with the Knicks. But I think he provides them more shooting, he's healthy. He's younger than Khris Middleton. A.J. Johnson, he's a stud. He hasn't got a lot of opportunity, but he's kind of one of these young guys that I think they're going to miss eventually. But I do think it's somewhat of a lateral move. But Khris Middleton, I feel like his best basketball are behind him, and I do think Kyle Kuzma can kind of fill that hole.
Well, and Sam, I like what you said, an injection of life. That's what it feels like too. Maybe if you think it's lateral, that's one thing, but it is something new, something different. Sometimes what it takes. Let's get to it, because the shocking trade heard around the world, the Luka Doncic situation, it legitimate shockwaves. I thought we were all past the point of being shocked by anything in our lives, and here we are, and it's gotten a lot of reaction from the biggest names as y'all have talked about. But now we're seeing Kevin Durant's name in a lot of places with trade rumors, which is weird. What's the latest with KD?
Yeah, it's escalated quickly, as the kids say. We'll see what happens. I think that the Warriors thing is very real. Admittedly, I'm a West Coaster like you guys, so we're kind of getting rolling right now to figure out where the intel is at today. There were moments last night where I thought, this was actually going to happen, which is wild to say, because as of early yesterday, the information coming out of the Warriors was some frustration with the Suns in terms of just kind of the talks and the back and forth, mixed messaging where, as you guys know, there's a lot of times layers to these talks where the formal indication might be, we are not coming off Kevin Durant. And then behind the scenes, they're finding ways to make it clear, like, well, if you gave us the entire package, then maybe we do. Things to look at. Jonathan Kuminga is a guy that, as we reported yesterday, the Suns definitely have interest in a possible long-term future. I think that matters. Then you're possibly talking about a Brandon Pajemski, Wiggins in there. But the thing that has changed is that we went from thinking that, Jimmy Butler would somehow find his way to Phoenix. Then you would have that Kevin Durant, Jimmy Butler, Bradley Beal core, Devin Booker that would, do their thing. The Beal factor remains, and I do not see that changing, that he's not coming out of Phoenix. And so now the tightrope act that the Suns are having to walk here, and this is Warriors related, is the idea that if you don't get Jimmy, that there are pretty strong indications that you're going to probably have to worry about where Kevin's head is at. And so that's where around the league, teams are suddenly realizing that this is real. So the Warriors are trying to get that done. They're not alone. A lot of things flying around about, Dallas, I wrote yesterday, and I do not think they anticipated Kevin being available now, but strong ties between Nico Harrison and Kevin, and an idea of possibly adding Kevin to their core. And I think they were hoping maybe that would be this summer. So a lot of kind of subplots.
Nico's turned into like the most important person of this trade deadline, all of us.
Yeah.
What is happening right now? So, look, and I get it. I think the Luka thing, at least for me, I know all of a sudden anything I thought I knew about how trades worked and what's available, it's gone, right? I feel like, and I'm doing that across the leagues now because I'm like, oh, it's all no more rules. KD in Dallas, though, like that's a thing.
Well, I think the thing that we learned yesterday that regardless of what happens, I'm a sucker for understanding the different relationships, right? And what is crystal clear to me now is that, we know Nico's history. You're talking about longtime respected Nike executive who knew AD really, really well, right? Knew Kyrie really, really well. He's going with people who he knows, who, oh, by the way, are, former Nike clients and guys that he has history with. The idea seems to be that whether it's, you can somehow get your hands on Kevin, which I don't see happening right now, certainly, or there's a lot of chatter about LeBron this summer. If you could convince LeBron to, not pick up that player option and come join you in the Big D, then you try to do that. But it's kind of that, I joked with somebody yesterday. It's like that AAU style kind of former Nike crew getting back together. But that, I think that's the spirit of what Nico is trying to build.
But Sam, I thought they were tanking in Dallas so they could be moved to Las Vegas.
Yeah.
This really flies in the face of all of that.
My God.
I'm like, conspiracies. If we had to put $1 on it, is Jimmy Butler getting moved by the deadline tomorrow?
I'm going to say yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I think and I think we'll see if they can get it done. But I do think, if we're putting the dollar on it, that gets done. It's so hot in Miami, man, between the two sides. It's so miserable. And they, I think, I don't know exactly what it looks like, but it's so dysfunctional and so, I don't know that I've ever seen two sides go at each other like this. And really it's the Heat are doing their thing, but Jimmy's, he's rattling the cages. So I think it gets done.
Sam, how is Jimmy blocking all these trades? Like, he doesn't have a no trade clause, right? Is he just his camp is telling his other teams he won't re-sign there? He won't, so it's just like a rental. Like, how does he keep blocking every single deal that you hear about? And like, how is it only Phoenix? I don't understand.
Chandler, that intel, I'll just say some of the stuff that's been out there, I don't think is spot on. His agent Bernie Lee is just, there's some wild stuff flying, and so I think they're mucking it up, if you will, because to your point, he doesn't have a no trade clause. Even on the Warriors front, it was reported that he told them he wouldn't sign an extension. There were some Warriors folks who found that humorous because it was kind of that you can't fire me, I quit type thing. Yeah. Like I didn't remember the extension being in play. I think they were looking at him mostly like a rental, and then we'll take it from there. I don't think promises were going to be made. But at minimum, if you create enough chaos the human part comes in, where teams are like, my God, what is this going to be like if we do bring you to town?
And one more dollar we got to put on it, because it went from Warriors aren't waving the white flag, but
here.
then, yeah, I know, right? With so many dollars, are they making a move by the deadline tomorrow? Will they be adding a major piece?
I think so, because, and you talk about a sea change, guys. You know, what was it, 2 weeks ago, where we had Steph talking about patience and not compromising the long-term future, you know, and kind of prudence and that type of thing. Now you have, I don't know if you saw the clip the other night, you know, Draymond after the game when they beat Orlando was talking about Joe Lacob and just really honestly saying, like, we know that our owner, Joe Lacob, is pissed, and we know what that looks like. So it's just back into star hunting mode in a pretty aggressive manner. Our guy who covers the Warriors, Anthony Slater, had some great detail in a story the other day about that Magic game. Or I'm sorry, it was the Phoenix game before that, where Rich Kleiman, Kevin Durant's longtime agent and friend, was sitting with Joe Lacob at the game, going to the Bridge Club with Joe Lacob at the game. We didn't have a wire on these guys to know exactly what the conversation looked like, but sometimes the obvious needs to get highlighted. So that was interesting, and now. The other part of this question with the Warriors and what are they going to do is, if this reunion is going to happen, is where's Kevin's head at? On the one hand, things are so imperfect in Phoenix, and I could see him looking at greener pastures. But man, and I covered those Warriors teams so closely, I know really well the tricky dynamics between all the people that remain. Steph and Steve Kerr and certainly Draymond and Kevin. So. I mean, if that happens, those are going to be really interesting questions. Absolutely.
So, Sam, we just saw Kyle Kuzma get moved. You still got Brandon Ingram out there, Bradley Beal. Obviously, Jimmy Butler's name's been in the news. You got Cam Johnson out there. With the clock ticking down, out of all of these guys, who do we see finding a new home by Friday?
I mean, the Cam, start with that one. Cam Johnson's interesting because they put a pretty high price tag on it. Even in my neck of the woods, the Kings have looked at that for a long time, but the question was, are you really, I mean, they were asking for 2 firsts, and if it's not 2 firsts, then it's like a really good first. And I don't know if they're going to come off that, but Cam is a guy that could really help a team. We hit on Jimmy. Man, Lou, who else did you throw at me, brother? I'm sorry.
Brandon Ingram is out there. Cam Johnson's out there.
Right. Well, New Orleans is worth looking at. Because again, this is maybe even Warriors related, or teams like the Warriors, have New Orleans as possibly a plan B or plan C, right? Where it's like, go ahead and call about BI, which is, he's certainly available. And then, if you're interested, even ask about Zion and try to do something like that. BI is an option for the Warriors and I think other teams. I don't think the Pelicans are going to come off Zion, but he's just a guy who's going to get you buckets and help your team. And that's where, maybe I got recency bias, but tomorrow is potentially going to be one of the more explosive final days of the trade deadline that we've seen, because when these pieces come off the board, then where do the teams turn?
Sam, I got to circle back to this Luka AD trade just for a second, because in my lifetime, I've never seen a trade like this. It's such a shock. It's such a surprise. What was your initial reaction? Did you think it was a joke? Do you think Shams got hacked like we all did? And will we ever see a mega deal like this get done again, just in the complete darkness? Like, are you buying that only 2 people besides the owners knew about this for 2, 3, 4 weeks, however long since they got the infamous coffee?
First of all, Chandler, I've loved you having a voice and a platform on this story. You're just really well positioned to weigh in, right? Like the history you have with Mark. I loved the stuff you shared about your interaction with Mark yesterday, which, because I'm a sucker for like, let's get to the truth, right? And Mark's reaction to you was very genuine, where we could say, like he was kind of wondering what was going on too. I was stunned. I was in the car driving with my young 15-year-old son, and notification popped on the phone, and I damn near drove off the road. I mean, I couldn't believe what was. I'm not even exaggerating. Like it was a 1-lane highway. And I almost took a bite there. But
Sam, do you find out these things like we find out on Twitter and Instagram and social media, or do you have the drop before we do?
I mean, Lou, I shouldn't admit it. I don't always have the drop. Like, I didn't have the drop on And I will tell you and I can't share this whole story, but it is hilarious. I will say this much. I was in LA last week, and I had a pretty extensive meeting with somebody who knew this was happening. So it is hilarious to circle back with, in situations like that and just have a laugh about it. Like, oh, that was interesting. Thanks for not telling me then, and they couldn't. That's what they were doing. It was kept incredibly quiet. I mean, you could quibble about, I think later in the process, a couple people on staff were looped in because, you need to talk to your people about moves, but it was incredibly tight. Even the third team component, Danny Ainge and the Jazz, not knowing until the very end, what type of trade they were a part of. And it's, as much as this league for front office people is about turning over every rock, I think what this trade also reminds us is the impact of relationships and the fact that a lot of times, because the media plays such a big part where you might want to talk about a certain type of situation, but then it leaks. And once it leaks, then the fans react and people within your organization react, and it changes the discussion. So Nico Harrison's relationship with Rob Pelinka it's a pretty fascinating part of this whole deal. These guys rocked with each other and had trust, and that was huge.
See, but Sam, that's where I have the problem isn't that part of the business as well, that players have to be professional and hear these rumors, and then if it doesn't happen, you go back? The GMs, the owner, should have that same sort of professionalism to players, especially Luka Doncic, to not have him completely in the dark and blindsided like this. So that's where I kind of have the frustration. And then all of a sudden there's this narrative about, oh, he's 270 pounds and he's a drinker or whatever it is. Watch the dude play. The dude is productive, and does he look like the captain of all health team? No, neither does Jokic, by the way, and look what he does. So, do you think that was actually the concern?
Captain of the all health team.
Yeah, like, do you think that was the actual concern? Did they get cold feet about paying this dude $80+ million on a supermax deal? Like, was it a personal? Like, what do you actually think was the reason? Because you don't just wake up and say, I'm going to trade Luka.
Couldn't agree more. Time's going to tell. I mean, this is one of those incredible sports situations where, whatever our opinions are now doesn't really matter. Like, tell me in 10 years, what this looks like. We talk over-unders on championships. Did he win 2-3 titles with the Lakers? He has a chance here to have the last laugh. Now, yes, the Mavs had serious concerns about his body, and that was a combination of on-court, off-court stuff. But my God, then you look at the production. You look at, the idea that, I covered those finals, and admittedly, you watch Luka in the finals, and you would be equally just amazed by what he was able to do. And then at times, you would look at him. I remember he had that left knee injury where I've never seen a player where he had blood coming through like the wrap on his knee on a regular basis, which I thought was just such a strange thing. So he does. Like, the optics at times are like, man, he's so incredible, but then he does look like, he moves like the 40-year-old guy at the pickup game, but he's remarkable. And I do think the irony here, and where if I had to handicap it, the Mavs are going to ultimately look bad in this situation, is that you could not have handed him more motivation than not only the way you sent him out, but the fact that you put him on basketball's biggest stage with the Lakers, and I would anticipate that he's going to find a way to get his body in the best situation possible and be an absolute monster. But, those concerns were very real, and we'll see if they were, well-founded.
I will say they broke up and he moved on to a better chick, Lou.
It's even better. He's gonna look. It's the revenge bod thing. Like, everybody has that fantasy is like come back.
The beach. He can go out there, go to Venice, go get your beach workout on with all the muscle bros. Go do your thing, Luka.
By the way, did you guys see his reaction to you talk about beaches? Did you see the ocean comment that he made yesterday?
Yes, it was adorable.
He's not going to the ocean today, I'll tell you that.
Yeah, like that type of stuff, though. Like, I'm from Slovenia, man. Like that, he's used to being close enough to beaches and that kind of lifestyle. He's going to be motivated. The LeBron thing I'm fascinated to see, you guys joked earlier, Mike Mancias is the famous LeBron trainer who's done incredible work with him for so long. So channel as much as that as you can and try to kill this narrative.
He's also got fellow Slovenian on the Kings over there, Anže Kopitar, and who's already, sent out a message. So I feel like it's going to find a nice place in Manhattan Beach. It's going to be amazing. And that trade was cute and all, Sam. But let's get to the real trade nobody's talking about properly. De'Aaron Fox officially becoming a Spur and basically giving up, no offense, but not a lot. How did this get pulled off with not giving up Castle or Vassell or any of that?
Yes, the Michelle Beadle victory lap continues.
Thank you.
It's remarkable. The Kings clearly early in the talks came to the conclusion that they were not going to be able to get their hands on, Stephon Castle or Devin Vassell or Keldon Johnson. If you're a Spurs fan, you got to love that. And not only that, you didn't even give up your best first round pick. So this is a tricky one and a puzzling one. On my side of it, being in NorCal, there's a lot of frustration, I think, within the Kings. I think a lot of their players are, and it's obviously nothing against Zach LaVine. He's a fantastic player, and really player for player, like you filled the De'Aaron Fox void to an extent. But in terms of the long-term plan and the questions of, why would you not get more to take us to a new level? There's confusion there. The Spurs found a way to have the Chicago Bulls come in here and throw them a hell of a lob. You know what I mean? Like the Bulls' involvement was massive. And, I feel somewhat guilty saying this because it's pretty easy these days to bang on the Bulls front office. But, it is rough. If you look at the totality of what they got for Zach LaVine, Alex Caruso, DeMar DeRozan,
brutal.
It's just, I don't have everything in front of me, but it's terrible. It's not good work in terms of turning players into assets and really rebuilding. But the Spurs are thrilled. Victor and De'Aaron, sorry, are going to be great. And now yes, they're merging. But is Castle going to be the guy? Is he going to take that leap? Do they go find another guy? Fox, as a quick aside, in my opinion, I think he's such a great player, but I think he's very, very comfortable with the idea that I can be a number 2 or number 3 or a 2A on a championship team. I think that's where his head is at, and I think maybe that happens.
And Sam, we talked about this. We talked about this outside the Thunder. Spurs, second brightest future in the NBA.
Yeah, no, for sure. In fact, as this deal was going to happen, I thought it was hilarious. That,
there was some, had more time.
Yeah,
there was some off stuff happening. OKC didn't want this happening. Like teams were hoping the Fox thing wouldn't happen for sure.
Yeah, that's too bad for them, isn't it? All right, well, Sam, love having you on. What a week it's been already, and we still got about 27 more hours. We will have Paul Scheer.
There he is.
Paul's going to have some opinions on what the Lakers have done. He's a super Clippers fan. We'll be right back. He's back, Paul Scheer. He's got How Did This Get Made? And also
long week for our guy.
It's always so sexy in your room, Paul.
Yes.
It's always sexy.
I gotta keep it good in here.
It's so properly lit. Dude, where were you when you heard about the Luka trade?
Man.
Okay, I was like everybody else. I was on the couch with my family, my phone. I heard from everybody. LA had fires out here. I heard from more people with the Luka trade than I heard with that. All right. Everyone was talking about it. It was crazy. I tried to explain it to my wife. She didn't quite get it. And I was like, this is big. And that didn't go over as well. But it's been the talk on everybody's lips for the last couple of days. And I only got one question, which is, remember the good old days when David Stern would veto a trade? Like, remember, where is that? Right, Chris Paul to the Lakers.
Especially a good Lakers trade, right?
And especially when the third team doesn't even know about the other two parts of the trade, allegedly.
This is what I'm saying. How does I mean, I've watched you. I think your coverage on this trade has been great. And, Chandler, you had a good take on it. I'm waiting for the 30 for 30. Unfortunately, I think it's just going to be like, some guy wanted to get richer, so he cut costs. I mean, it's not going to be as good as I want it to be, but I will get it eventually.
By the way, because you are a Clippers fan, and I imagine you're out in LA, and there are a lot of Lakers fans. Were your Lakers fans friends? Have they been just gloating? Like,
just
how's that
dancing
gone
on
over?
your grave?
Oh, 100%. But then there's also like this fear, like, is this part of the Anthony Davis prank show that's coming out? No one knew, right?
Oh, yeah.
Now I think it's coming.
I saw that on the
Right.
bottom line. I'm like, wait, are we all being punked right now?
Brilliant.
Yeah, I think, look, everyone's cautiously optimistic because there is a part of me that goes, what does Nico Harrison know that maybe we don't know? I mean, then you remember, oh, wait, isn't Nico the guy who was supposed to get Steph Curry to sign with Nike? Then you're like, oh, maybe it all makes sense. I don't know.
Yeah.
Called him Seth. That hurts.
Does it, as a Clippers fan, does it just piss you off more when Lakers get a really good player than it excites you more when the Clippers get a good player? Like, when you guys got Kawhi, were you more stoked or are you more pissed now that the Lakers got Luka?
Well, look, that's a great question. I think when we got Kawhi, it was mind blowing. It was like, oh my God, this happened. With Luka, I kind of am at ease with it. It just feels like, of course, LeBron's going to retire in a year or two, maybe, or maybe he'll just never retire. But they need somebody, and so he's the guy now. I mean, he doesn't feel like a Laker to me, which is odd. I don't know if I've actually. I think I'm in the stages of grief. I haven't accepted it yet.
That's fair.
All right,
that is
Paul,
fair.
let's go full on Nico Harrison right here.
Yeah,
You're
okay,
the
go
Clippers
ahead.
GM. What would you offer up for Luka right now?
Well, I mean, for what they got, I give him PJ Tucker, Mo Bamba, and a second. Like, come on.
All right, you'll put that package together. And now that we know that no one's off the table, no one's untouchable, what big name superstar would you like to see in the Clippers uniform?
Oh my gosh, wow, this is a good question. I really do feel like we need somebody. I'll take Giannis. Like, I mean, why not, right? Let's just go for let's go for the biggest guy, right? Why not? Why am I playing a game here? Like, and we talk about untouchables. Yeah, let's just go big. Let's go. Yeah, why would I go like, well, I don't know. Maybe I'll pick this smaller player. Yeah, let's take.
I just feel like somebody's gonna try to one up Nico in the Lakers right now. Like, no, gotcha.
Yeah.
Oh, well, you know what's going to happen is like Durant's going to go back to Golden State Warriors. I don't know how that's going to be, whatever, recapture that magic. Then you're going to get like Butler going to the Suns. It's like, all right, I guess. Like it's going to be these weird trades. I think what we're seeing though is the power of the the GMs, because it felt like the players were having a lot of control lately. And it seems like the GMs are now saying, like, we'll do whatever we want. I don't know if it's actually turning out to be good for them. It's like looking at the Sam's talk about like what the Bulls got. Like, these trades aren't getting a lot of. I don't know. It's weird. It's just like we're shuffling around people, but it makes the NBA season more exciting.
You're right. Like, the player empowerment thing sort of got killed this week. Like, it just felt for about I don't know if it's long standing. It might have just been a one-off, but yeah, it definitely had a weird vibe because of the secrecy. Look, you had Clippers Lakers last night. We're not going to dissect the game itself. Yikes. It is what it was. But let me ask you this, because the team overall was doing all right here. I wish you had me on the first game. I know. That's why I'm like, what timing is everything. Stupid. What are the vibes at the Intuit Dome these days?
Vibes are good. Vibes are great. Okay. Last night it was, the first Laker-Clipper game was interesting because Laker fans were very, very quiet. Last night they were very, very loud. But here's the thing. If we win these next 3 games that we have, and I guess maybe it's 4 games on the road, we will be ahead of what everyone said the Clippers would win for the season, which is, I think, like 33 games. So we are doing really, really well, I think, ultimately. And this is it's an embarrassing loss, but maybe this is what sets a fire under Lawrence Frank's butt to get some trades going. Look, again, maybe we bring Giannis to the we'll bring him over to the team. We don't know. Maybe he'll go for Bones. We'll figure it out. I don't know. And then, I also think it's a reminder that the harder team always wins. And that's what's been going on a lot this season with the Clippers. They've been playing really hard. Last night, they were not the harder team. They were just watching it go. And I thought last night was a great game for me because it was a farewell performance to the Lakers, because all those touches that like Connect and Austin Reeves gets, that's going away the minute Luka hits the floor. I mean, it's just going to be LeBron and Luka dribbling and doing it. So that was a beautiful farewell performance. And every Laker last night was saying, please don't trade me. Please don't trade me. And LeBron came out angry. Like, LeBron played last night with a fire and intensity in his eyes that was like, there was an anger going on there. You can't tell me differently. I don't know. It just
Because
felt
maybe he's on the trading block too.
Well, he
mean,
has a
it's
no
all
trade
up for
clause. He's
grabs.
very clear about that.
Paul, we stayed into it, Dome. Just last week, James Harden was named to the All-Star team.
Yeah.
Norman Powell missed out. Was that the right call? Do you feel like Norman Powell should have been an All-Star?
Lou, you know probably more than me, but it seems like a popularity contest, right? It's not about what these guys are doing in the season. It's like who gets the most votes in this larger thing. I think it's a real bummer. I think he played an amazing first half of the season. He continues to play. Even last night in a crappy game, he's putting up points. He looks great. It's unfortunate that we don't let these guys rise. I think that right now the NBA ultimately is a little bit old school. Like, we're not letting a lot of new stories come out, right? We're talking about these stories that have been around for a long time. And that's unfortunately just part of the game.
That's what it is.
Yeah.
That's exactly what it is. And we call them legacy acts around here. Like, a lot of these guys are grandfathered in to All-Star Weekend. Like, the fans, they want to see them. And another guy is Kawhi Leonard. He's been back for a little bit over a month now, playing really well. Is he still the guy to lead the Clippers to a championship, you feel?
I think when he's on the floor, you see the team change. I think he's like 8-2, or maybe now it's like 8-3 when he's been playing with the Clippers. I think he takes a lot of pressure off of Harden, which is great to see. He looks good. I think he's ramping up the right way. Again, it all comes down, like, Kawhi looked great until every moment in the playoffs when he had an injury that made him not look great, right? Like, I don't think there's any problem with him playing. It's just, can he maintain? And that's, only the inner parts of his knee will know.
Paul, this is a sentence I've wanted to ask for a long time. Data shows that the wall at the Intuit Dome is working. Boots on the ground, give us your assessment.
The wall is one of the funniest, best things I've ever seen. What they do, like the last time we played the Lakers, they shaved off the middle part of AD's eyebrow because they had a big AD face. Last night they shaved off LeBron's hair. They have the funniest signs. I saw last night a bunch of signs of Luka DONCIC in a Laker uniform saying, "Hey, don't worry, enjoy in and out." Like, the wall's got chants, they got bits. I love the wall. The wall is something to be messed with. Yeah.
Yes.
Look,
it is.
I went with my friend Amy Nicholson, big Laker fan. She was kicked out of the wall section for just peeking into it. Like, they don't want anybody in Laker gear. They want them out. The only issue I have with the wall is they should have built two. Like, why do we have one on one side? We got to get them on both sides.
That's a good point.
You got time, Paul. You got time. Joyful Recollections of Trauma, New York Times bestselling author. Go pick up the book. Best of luck, Paul Scheer.
Thank you
everybody.
so much, Paul. What a pleasure. See y'all later. Bye-bye.
Be back.
Run it back, run it up, run it.
Guys, I like to hold us accountable here. Just want to point out, Lou and I had the Celtics winning last night. I believe, Chandler, you had Cleveland.
Is that what we? More inaccurate.
Was that the opposite? We had Boston.
I had Boston. I actually did a whole rant on how
I had Boston.
I think you had.
I had Boston.
I don't know.
My God, we're stupid.
Kevin Durant doubtful
Boogie
tonight.
Cousins. Oh God, Boogie tomorrow. It's gonna be a long day.
Run it up, then run it back, run it back, run it up, run it back, run it up, then run it back.